Hello and welcome to another video for Midas Touch Toys, Games, Collectibles. And today, well, we are looking at something that is incredibly old. It is now very, very rare and difficult to find, especially in this condition, which is excellent condition for something of its age. We are looking at the 1951 edition of the Dandy Monster comic book. And this was released in late 1950 for the upcoming 1951 year. And it was published by D C Thompson, who published the Dandy comics. Now, up until 2023, there had been 86 editions of the Dandy annuals. The first one was in 1938, and they were all done annually to tie in with the Dandy comic. I say 86 editions have been produced up until the end of last year. Obviously, that hasn't taken into account the one from this year. With this year one, there would be 87 editions. And the annuals has continued to go, despite the fact that the weekly comic ended in 2013 and hasn't been produced since then. But the annuals still get produced at the back end of the year, so they're in time for Christmas. Okay, so this particular one we're looking at today is of the 1951 annual, which was released in late 1950 for the following year, 1951. Incidentally, all these annuals up until 1965 were just called the Monster Comic Annual, and they didn't have the dates on them. After 1965, each annual that were then had the following year's dates on from there. So if they're released in September of, say, 1950, or 1965, the following they would show 1966, if you like. So that's how they worked. Anyway, this particular one we're looking at is the 1951 annual, and it says the Dandy Monster comic, and you can see all the characters from the Dandy. You've got Desperate Dan at the back there. You've got Korky emptying a kettle into on a beach, into the ocean maybe, I don't know. And you've got lots of the other standard characters that come in the Dandy comics and the comic books. Okay, so that's the front cover. Let's turn it over, and on the back we've got Dick Whittington. Well, it looks like Dick Whittington. I don't know who the character is, but he's obviously a character from the comic strips of some order. I'm not quite sure who, but I'm sure we'll find out when we start looking inside. That's the back cover. Quick look at the spline, and it says the Dandy Monster comic, D C Thompson and Co. Limited. Okay, that's the covers. Let's open her up and let's have a look inside. Okay, so I've opened the first page, and it says this book belongs to, and there's an area for you to write your name and details in. It says printed and published in Great Britain by DC Thompson and Company Limited, London, Manchester and Dundee. It says the Dandy Monster comic, DC Thompson and Company Limited, London, Manchester and Dundee. Again, you can see Dan there and a lot of the characters sitting around the table in this massive pie coming down. I'm sure Dan there will be the first one to gobble all that down. Okay, you can notice that some of the pages is starting to discolour around the edges, and that is because of the type of paper that was used back in the day. Wasn't the best paper, cheap paper, but that's what they used back in the early days of annuals. Okay, contents. So we've got Korky the Cat, page 5, 25, 49, 73, 97 and 121. Desperate Dan, page 6, 53, 79 and 127. Mickey's Magic Book, page 7 and 125. Fredy The Fearless Fly, page 8, 55, 96 and 126. Hungry Horace, page 16, 54 and 88. Old Ma Murphy, 26, 56 and 98. Middleston Matey, I'm not going to read the page numbers. Julius Caesar, Keyhole Kate, Smudge, Mero Marvo, Hotcher the Hot and Hot, Charlie Chutney, and the stories are Whistling Jim, Sheik Mazzini's Treasure, it's His Majesty's Wizard, Mr. G Wiz, Tutty Comes to Stay, Big Bonehead, Curly's 2-Ton Titten, The Mounties Simple Problem, Mega the Mongoose, The Slave of the Magic Lamp, and the picture stories are Wild Young Durkee, Black Bob, and Danny Danny Longlegs. Okay, so that's who Danny Longlegs is, to the right, and he was obviously on the back of the picture. The one I thought was Dick Whittington. Anyway, so the first story is Korky Cat, and like most of these annuals of the time, they're all in monocolour. So they're black and white with a colour on them, and this particular one's like red and pink, if you like. And that's Korky the Cat, grand display of parachute jumping by Korky and the Kittens. Desperate Dan's story, again, they're all in monocolour. Mickey's Magic Book, and you can see the brown marks on the edges of the pages here, which is obviously due to the age. There's a slight tear on that page there as well. This is Fredy The Fearless Fly, short comic strip, mono-comic strip there. And we've got a picture story, which is Whistling Jim. And that is 2, 4, 5, 6, 7 pages. And then we've got, carries on here, finishes here. So it's 7.5 pages. And then you've got another comic strip there of Hungry Horace in black and white. Next strip is Chic Mazani's Treasure. And again, that's a picture story book. Story, and that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 pages, and then we're back onto the comic strips. So we've got Korky the Cat again, and there he is on skiing slopes. Old Ma Murphy, again, these are all in monocolours. Wild Young Durkee, which is a picture strip story again, and that is nice illustrations, I have to say, even though they're monocolour. They are very nicely drawn illustrations to go with the annual. I mean, say you're talking 1950, so a long time ago, but they're very, very good for the time. Then you've got another full story with black and white illustrations, and it's called His Majesty's Wizard, Mr. G Whiz. And that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and finishes here 8 pages. Meadowston Matey, very, very short comic strip there. And then you've got another illustrated story, which is Tuffy Comes to Stay. And it's got Tuffy knew many tricks, and in the end, he tricked Pete into keeping him. There we go. So, and that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 7.5 pages, if you like. Julius Sneezer, a very short comic strip there, and then you've got another comic strip of Korky the Cat and his kittens and his mice. Keyhole Kate and Smudge, again they're short comic strip stories in monocolour. Mary Marvel and his Magic Cigar, and Desperate Dan, again in monostrip colour stories. Hungry Horace, Fredy The Fearless Fly, again all in monocolour, and Old Ma Murphy, also in monocolour. And then we come again to another illustrated story, which is Big Bonehead, and that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and that is 8 pages. And then we've got Charlie Chutney, the Comical Cook. Again, that's a little comic strip in black and white. Keyhole Kate, again a black and white little comic strip. Black Bob, another illustrated black and white story, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pages. But again, really good illustrations they are. The drawing was fantastic. Korky the Cat, again, another short little comic strip story in monocolour. Julius Sneezer and Keyhole Kate, again, little monocolour stories, comic strip stories. Smudge, Charlie Chutney, the Comical Cook, again, a little comic strip monocolours. Mary Marvo and his Magic Cigar, and another Desperate Dan, little comic strip monocolour stories, and Meddlesome Matey, which is also a monocolour comic strip story. And then we've got another illustrated story, which is Curly's 2-Ton Kitten. And this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 7.5 pages again there. Another little comic strip of Hungry Horace. And then we've got another illustrated story, which is The Mountain's Simple Problem. And that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 7.5 pages of the Mountie. Fredy The Fearless Fly, another very short monostrip black and white story. And then we've got another Korky The Cat monostrip story. A monocolour strip story that is. Old Man Murphy, and which is another monocolour comic strip story. And then we've got another illustrated story, which is in monocolour again, which is called Danny Longlegs. And that's Danny Longlegs there, who I thought was Dick Whittington. But there we are. And there we go, 8 pages of Danny Longlegs. And then we come to Meg and the Mongoose, which is another illustrated story in black and white. And that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 7.5 pages again. Hotcha the Hottentot, a very, very short comic strip. And another illustrated story, The Slave of the Magic Lamp. And that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 7.5 pages again. They seem to be 7.5 pages, most of those. Mary Marvel and His Magic Cigar, again a very, very short comic strip. And Korky the Cat with Desperate Dan. That's interesting. So there we are, and that's a short monocolour comic strip. Julius Sneezer, the Sneezing and the Sneezing Caesar. It's Julius Sneezer, the Sneezing Caesar, and Smudge, which are both short comic strip monocolour stories. Keyhole Kate, Mickey's Magic Book, again the same mini comic strip monocolour stories. Fredy The Fearless Fly and Desperate Dan brings us to a close of this particular annual. Again, those 2 strips are short monocolour comic strip stories. Okay, that is the Dandy Monster Comic Annual from 1950. Yeah, 1950 for the upcoming 51 year. Okay, you're going to ask me how well this book did back in 1950. Well, to say it didn't do well would be an understatement. It done exceptionally well, as all the annuals did of that time. Back in the day, in 1950, what do we have? We had just, I think 1950, we only had 2 television channels as well, which was BBC 1, BBC 2, before ITV was launched, I think it was. So apart from, and you got your weekly comics, obviously, but apart from that, there wasn't really much else. There was no media entertainment, there was no internet, there was no streaming service, there was no VHRs and DVDs, or VHS and DVDs, nothing like that. So you watch a few programs on TV. They were all in black and white back in those days. And that was it. So annuals was a very big thing, because they were all based on your favourite TV shows, or your favourite comics, or your favourite pop stars, or your favourite football teams. So annuals were massive, and they were pretty much staple diets. For every Christmas, everybody got at least one annual in their Christmas stocking or their Christmas sack. Really, right from when the annuals started. Probably the annuals started to peak in the 1950s, and the 50s, 60s, 70s, and to some extent to the 80s. The annuals were huge. Obviously nowadays, annuals are not so popular as they used to. They're still around and they still produce them, but obviously not in anywhere near the quantities that they were producing back in the day. They were mass produced, as cheaply as possible as well, because of the type of paper that was available. Of course, nowadays they're a lot more expensive, and they're much better quality annuals that are being produced these days. The glossy paper as opposed to the cheap paper that stains. So very different nowadays to what we had back in the 1950s. But yes, as with all annuals, they done remarkably well. And like I say, we would all wake up on Christmas morning to at least a couple of annuals in our Christmas sacks. Okay, so let's move forward. What are we going? We're going forward 74 years. From 1950 to 2024, which is where we are today. We're a week away from Christmas now. in 2024. So how well, or do these annuals come up on the platforms these days? Or does this particular annual? Well, the answer to that is no. This is a very rare annual. It's very old. You do occasionally see them come up on the platforms, but certainly not very often. Not these old annuals. And especially not in the condition that this one is. This one is in very good condition for its age and its year, despite obviously it's got some markings along the cover and some of the pages are discolouring, which is standard with these type of early annuals. But otherwise it's in very good condition, still bright and colourful and all still intact with no missing pages, no writing inside, nothing like that. So they do occasionally come up on platforms, but not very often. But if you do want to buy one off a platform, just have a good look at it, because a lot of them use stock photos, and the stock photo that you're looking at may not be the item you're about to order. So do have a look where it says used, click on the use button and read the description and look at the images that are associated with that used item. Otherwise you could end up with something that you do not want. Believe me, we get calls from people over and over again telling us about their bad experiences buying on the platforms. Anyway, you don't need to deal with that. Forget about all that. You can come straight to us at Midas Touch Toys, Games, Collectibles, where what we advertise is exactly what you will be buying. We do not use stock photographs, and most of our, or any new item that goes into the website nowadays is accompanied with a video, as this particular item is, and you can see exactly what you're buying step by step. And this particular annual, we only have the one copy, I'm afraid, but it is available to purchase on the Midas Touch website, which you can get to very simply by clicking the link below. It will take you straight to the website, or you'll be able to find this and many other vintage annuals and many other vintage toys, games and collectibles come to that. There's over 10,000 products currently available on our website for you to view and purchase at your leisure. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button, because we're uploading videos for every new item that goes into the website. There will be something for everybody, and I am absolutely positive this is something that you're not going to want to miss, because we literally have thousands and thousands of new items which we're shooting videos for and uploading on a daily basis. So if there's something in particular you're looking for, something old you've never been able to find, something quirky that you might want to buy for a friend, or perhaps just something from your childhood that you'd like to own again to help you recuperate those long lost childhood memories, well, stay tuned, keep watching, because you never know the next item we upload could be that item you've been looking for. Okay, that is it for me on this particular item. I do hope you've enjoyed reviewing this wonderful old dandy monster comic annual with me. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you again next video. So bye for now.